Ahoj, jsme právě v Rock Café, kde se na svůj koncert chystá holandská indie popová senzace Chef Special. Kapela zazářila v roce 2022 na Colours of Ostrava a právě Colours ji přivezli teďka do Prahy a my se jdeme podívat na to, na co hraje jejich kytarista. Tak jdem na to. And here we are with Guido from Chef Special and let's get us through your gear.
Yeah, sure. So, I was just telling before this interview, like this is not my normal rig. When we play bigger stages, I'll have a more elaborate setup. But for smaller stages, obviously, it's way more practical to size down. So in this case, I have the neural DSP quad Cortex that I use. So our sound as a band has quite evolved over time. We used to play more reggae pop, pretty minimal guitar sounding stuff. And with minimal, I mean not too much delay effects or any processing. But as we grew as a band, our sound also grew. So at some point, I started using more delays and reverbs especially. And that's something that in my bigger rig I use a lot, and also try to incorporate it in my patches for the quad Cortex. So a lot of players notice this, but for me what is important is that I can place my verbs and my delays after my cabs, because at some point if you start going bigger and bigger, it actually gets smaller and smaller because you're cramming all that information.
I see.
Through the preamp, through the speaker, and it doesn't work at some point. So routing it this way gives more options. I'm not sure if you can catch the actual routing on camera. It's like a drive going into maybe a small tape delay, like slapback kind of thing, hitting the preamp. So this is the amp. Basically, then I have from this company, and I have to think now. I got some custom IRs that I'm thinking really hard about what the company is called. They
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Okay, they made these Scott Henderson caps. They made these IRs from them. People can find out. So you have a cap IR. It's the direct mics, and then also in parallel I have a room mic going on. So I can, because I really like the sound of an amp in a room, and that's something, especially when you're playing with inner monitors and you have just a setup like this. It's almost like you have your ear to the speaker. You know what I mean? And to me, that's a very unnatural sound. To me, the ideal sound of a guitar amp is standing up, having the guitar amp 3 meters away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, you can't really recreate it in a patch, but having room mics in there, and you can per patch you can dial them in, so you kind of have a sense of some room going on in your sound. So it feels a bit more natural than your ears right against the cap, and after that it's a bigger delay. So after cap, a delay, bigger verb, and then another algorithmic room verb that I can dial in. So that's the basic sounds that I use, and it just gives a lot of control. It doesn't have to be overly modulated, not a lot of chorus or flanger or whatever, but just it gives a lot of control playing with the different room sizes, different delays, and it just really works. And you can dial in per song. It's what I like.
And you don't miss analog and behind your back.
I miss it a lot still. It sounds good. It sounds great. But in my normal rig, I will have pedals all in loops. And then so everything's controlled by a MIDI controller looper. So all the pedals are in loops. Then I have an amp that's called a Hook Wizard. It's from a Dutch amp manufacturer. So it's from Leonard Haaksma. He's a Dutch amp builder and great guitar player, by the way. And he builds this amp that has motorized knobs, and you can basically make presets on it. So it's an analog amp, like a full tube amp, but it has presets. So that's also linked to the MIDI controller. And then after that, I've also effects like reverb. So it's basically the same as this, but then for real.
What about your guitars? Because in some pictures I noticed you got some Gibson Les Pauls and stuff like this.
So
but I see only Fender.
That's true. I usually I'm really a single coil guy, like originally. So I love Strats, I love Tellys, but there's a Dutch amp builder called Panucci Guitars, and he builds like these Les Paul models, which I really like because they don't. I love Les Pauls, but they sometimes sound a bit like too clunky almost. I'm not. I don't want to offend like any Les Paul. I love Les Pauls, but I love a Les Paul sound where it almost sounds like a Telly on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
If you know what I mean. And so that's the kind of stuff that he builds. It also has a P90 element in the neck position. And I just really like the sound of that. So I use that as well. But for touring purposes, I only can take 2 guitars with me now. So I'll use the Strat and the Telly because basically all the stuff that I do is pretty much centered around those 2 types of guitars. It's kind of boring, but it works for me. So yeah, those are the 2 guitars that I use.
What about bigger stages?
Bigger stages, so I will use the Les Paul, the Panucci Les Paul that I have, but still Strats and Tellys. It's just my go-to. Especially, I used to always play Strats, but when I started doing more recording and stuff in the studio, I just noticed that Tellys tend to work better in a studio environment because they just fit into a mix, especially when the mixes, like the productions get bigger and there's a lot more going on. A Telly just has this sweet spot where it just squats through the mix better.
When you got brass instruments in your mix?
Especially, yes. So, and especially on the bridge pickup, it just works. Whereas a Strat, it really sounds great on its own, where it has the space like to breathe. But as soon as there are more instruments in there, at least to me, it just, I don't know. I love the instrument, but it's just Telly works better to my ears. Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Díky moc, že jste sledovali Rick and Down s kapelou Chef Special. A pište do komentářů, koho byste chtěli vidět dalšího. Díky, čau.